I'll call this meeting to order. Virtual meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee. All participants are asked to keep microphones on mute and cameras off during staff presentations and committee discussions. Participants wishing to speak to an application during the public meeting portion of this meeting will be called on by name one at a time during the public meeting. At that time, the participant called on may unmute their microphone and turn on their camera if they wish to speak. If you wish to speak or to receive further notice regarding an application and have not signed in with the recording secretary, please speak now. Public participants will receive another sign-in opportunity when public meeting portion of this meeting is called to order. I'm John Wanless, Chair of the Planning Advisory Committee, and I will now take attendance of our committee members and staff. Please raise your hand or declare your presence when I call your name. Bill Curry. Jacqueline Grimes.
Present.
Councillor Wendy Alford.
Present.
Bill Widmeyer.
Present.
Jack Anderson.
Present.
Councillor Jay Brennan.
Present.
Senior Planner Carl Grinke.
Present.
Planning Coordinator Mary Remig.
Present.
To review, committee members are asked to raise their hand when they wish to speak. Alternatively, please find an appropriate opportunity at any available time to notify the chair verbally if you wish to speak. We'll now move to item 2 on the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I will
Jack?
so move.
Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
All in favor? Item 3, adoption of minutes, we have none. 4, disclosure of monetary interests. None. I'll now open the public meeting portion of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting. Please be advised that you may leave this meeting at any time. Applicants, agents, members of the public logged into Zoom to participate in the public meeting are asked to please keep their microphones on mute and cameras off until called on by the chair. If you wish to speak to an application and have not signed in with the recording secretary, please speak now. The purpose of this Planning Advisory Committee meeting is to consider an official plan zoning bylaw amendment application for 45 Elmsley Street South. The official plan amendment proposes to amend the existing special policy area to accommodate a vehicular entrance onto McGill Street South. The amendment with acknowledged entrances along Elmsley Street South, Thurber Street as the primary accesses and recognizes the entrance along McGill South as a secondary access. The zoning bylaw amendment will rezone the lands to residential type 6 with a site-specific special exemption and holding provision. The proposed site-specific exemption will accommodate the conceptual building and site design. The proposed holding provision will prohibit construction until the site plan control agreement, which provides community benefits to the town, has been executed. This meeting is the opportunity to provide any feedback on this application, and the Planning Advisory Committee welcomes any questions and comments you may have. We encourage you to do so in this public meeting, as the Planning Act rules suggest that the public's ability to voice objections later in the process may be limited if a written or oral comment is not submitted. Town Council is the approval authority of the application for the amendments to the official plan and the zoning bylaw. The committee will review the applications and any comments and concerns from the public to inform their decision recommendation to council for the applications. I will now pass the meeting over to Senior Planner Carl Grenke to report a notification and summary for the official plan amendment OP-21-01 and zoning bylaw amendment application ZA-20-07. Following this presentation, I will call on public participants one at a time to offer feedback, comments, or questions regarding the proposal. I will also offer the applicant in attendance an opportunity to address any concerns brought to the committee by the public. Carl?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Carl Grenke, Senior Planner with the town, and I'll be presenting a brief overview of the proposal and the process. We have a PowerPoint slide, so I'll just ask Mr. Crawford to open it. Thank you. So as the chair had indicated, we have two applications under the Planning Act that we're looking at this evening. Next slide, please. So these applications affect a roughly 3-acre portion of land, formerly the South Unit, Smith Falls South Unit Hospital site that's been recently purchased. It's at the corner of Elmsley Street, Thurber, and McGill Street South. Next slide, please. So at this point, the proponents propose to construct an apartment building on the site. Would be about 132 units with parking mostly underground to be accessed from Elmsley Street, as well as some surface parking spaces proposed from McGill Street South. Additionally, the development is proposed to retain or proposing a circular driveway access from Thurber Street for drop-offs and deliveries. There's a significant number of mature trees along the frontage along Elmsley Street, and those are proposed to be retained as part of this development. So this is the second public meeting for this application. This was previously before the Planning Advisory Committee on August 20th, 2020. And the development concept is largely the same as what was looked at beforehand. However, as the applicants have done some additional design work, a few technical items have been identified that require zoning attention, which is why we're back here this evening to look at those. So the official plan designates the property as neighborhood service and commercial with a special policy area that was created. That OP designation was created around the time the South Unit Hospital site was removed and the town was looking at development opportunities. And there's a fairly broad general commercial special exception 7, general commercial special exception 7 zoning that allows a range of residential and commercial land uses. Next slide, please. So there's two amendments being proposed. One is an amendment to the special policy area. So they're not proposing a mapping change. They're proposing a text change to the special policy area that's in place here. And that text change is proposed to accommodate secondary access from McGill to the parking area to the rear. So the current official plan policy has proposes some design guidance to ensure that the development is attractive and facing on all of its streets and fits in with the surrounding residential area. And the current policy supports limited driveway access off of McGill Street, so for lower density residential. So this is a little bit bigger than that what's being proposed. So that's why the amendment is seeking council's blessing to accommodate that entrance there, and the proponents are proposing to address and mitigate any visual impacts through the site plan process. Next slide, please. The proposed zoning amendment is similar to what was looked at back last year. The current zoning for the property allows, as of right, residential development with the by the R6 standards, which is sort of higher density residential development. However, they are looking for increase in height and density compared to what is currently accommodated in the R6. So the density is exactly the same as what was looked at beforehand to accommodate 132 units, and the maximum height they're proposing to increase that by about 1 meter compared to what was there before, and that's the building height. They haven't substantially redesigned the height of the building. It's just to give a little bit of wiggle room depending on how construction ends up proceeding. And they're also proposing a couple of just technical amendments to the zoning to accommodate aspects of the development. So one thing to keep in mind, the zoning also requires for the R6 zone that a developer provides a children's play area. That's a requirement for all apartment buildings within that zone. The proponents are proposing to remove that requirement, but in exchange contribute a cash payment in lieu, which would go into the municipality's parkland reserve for the municipality to accommodate parkland improvements in an existing park. Unfortunately, there aren't public parks in the immediate vicinity to the area, but there are certainly several within the south end of the town. And also the holding provision would prohibit construction until approval of a site plan agreement that provides a number of community benefits to the town. So including confirming the requirement for a sidewalk on Thurber Street, some landscaping elements along the Elmsley Street right-of-way, and documentation of sustainable initiatives. So this is something that's, as the development exceeds the height and density requirements of the zoning, the town is looking for the opportunity, and the developers have been very accommodating and exploring the opportunity to achieve community benefits in exchange for that. For the height and density, and there's a tool under the Planning Act that allows consideration of that. Next slide, please. So the proponents have provided a number of supporting studies that speak to certain technical aspects of the development. These have been submitted in support of the zoning application, including a planning rationale, site design and building elevations, traffic impact study, serviceability letter, and stormwater management report. These items do form part of the complete application and are available as part of the public record upon request. Next slide, please. So this is a conceptual layout that has been presented by the proponents. It shows the shape of the proposed building. So there is the entrance proposed on Elmsley Street, the circular entrance on Thurber, and the proposed parking lot on McGill. And I'll note as well that there is a proposed terrace above the parking area on that backside facing McGill. Next slide, please. So the proponents have also proposed landscaping details as part of that application, including substantial landscaping along the rear lot line, or sorry, the side lot line facing the homes that front on Chambers Street. So most of the trees on the site are proposed to be retained there, and that's just an indication of the landscaping, and that's being reviewed as part of would be reviewed as part of a site plan process if council approves the zoning. Next slide, please. So the proponents have also presented concept elevations showing the building from different profiles. This is included within the planning information report that's attached to as part of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Next slide, please. And those and just concept elevations from the other sides. Next slide, please. So the site as it is right now is vacant. The last of the buildings have been associated with the former hospital have been removed a couple of years ago. So the driveways still remain, the existing driveways still remain. and some gravel areas still remain as well, of course, as some trees. But it would be, if approved, the development would be obviously an entirely new build on what's a vacant site. Interestingly, the site is at a bit of a high point at that area of town as well, so it does present some substantial views towards the so residents certainly of the upper level would have good views towards the downtown area, and of course it's very important through the planning process to assess and mitigate impacts on adjacent residential development. Next slide, please. So the purpose of the public meeting is to involve the community in considering a change in land use rules for an area of land. So this is an opportunity for the public to ask questions and provide feedback on the proposal. And the proponents also have the opportunity to introduce their proposal to you, the committee, and to answer any questions that may arise. So the information received and exchanged in this meeting would help inform the staff and committee recommendations to council on the proposal. Next slide, please. So consultation, of course, is an integral part of the planning process. So as part of that process, we engage technical agencies very early in the process, including Public Works and the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, and also welcome feedback from abutting property owners who have that local context and knowledge about the area. So the Planning Act does outline requirements for giving notice for public meetings, and that was completed on June 4th of this year. We also gave notice in accordance with the Act's requirements for the August public meeting, and the applicants had undertaken their own outreach to the community as on their own initiative before that public meeting. And I understand they've had some conversations with some of the abutting property owners as part of that process. Next slide, please. So the official plan and zoning amendments, these are the first steps of the process here if this development were to eventually be approved and proceed. And the zoning and the OP policies creates the principle of development, so identifies the use density and scale. So the planning staff and the planning advisory committee prepare the recommendations to council, and council ultimately has the final say. And then the holding provision would be if approved, the holding provision would be lifted through a separate application once these conditions are satisfied. And the site plan process that would follow is more of a technical exercise where we'd have a closer look at some of these details that aren't really addressed in zoning, where we'd look more closely at stormwater management, landscaping, fencing, design, those sorts of items to really best implement the directions of the official plan relating to design and fit within that community. And that is a separate process that would also be presented to council. Next slide, please. So when we receive a zoning amendment application, the decision has to comply with the broad intent of our official plan, what it intends to achieve and how it intends to direct development in this part of town and generally, and also regard for the provincial policy statement that provides a higher level overview of planning principles that the provinces directs local decision makers to have. We also consider feedback from neighbors, those most impacted, and consider feedback from other agencies who have legislative mandates and technical expertise to guide this. So staff and the PAC will both make a recommendation to council, and then council will make a decision based on all of the information provided. Next slide, please. So just in conclusion, following this public meeting, we will be a report and a recommendation will be brought forward to committee of the whole, and council will be making an ultimate decision. Council's decision is subject to a 20-day appeal period as set out in the legislation. So certainly we'd strongly encourage anybody in the public, anybody who'd like to participate in the process or provide comments to do so before council makes the decision, and that would entitle you to be to receive the notice of the decision when that's made. So I'll end there, and I'll pass it back to pass it back to the chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. We'll begin by hearing from members of the public. I don't think we have any public participation, so I'm going to skip that portion. I'll now open the floor for the applicant or their agent to provide any further clarification or comments on the public's concerns. Pascal?
I just want to add that we have submitted the site plan application to the town, and that we're really looking forward to getting started in Smith Falls. It's been great working with the town, and the public's been great. So yeah, I don't have much else to add. Kayla, do you have anything to add on the technical aspects?
Thanks, Pascal. And just to introduce myself, two members of committee this evening. My name's Kayla Blakely. I'm a planner with Novatech. So we're working with Lapine on the planning approvals. So I guess I would just thank staff for all their work and their presentation this evening. I think that we are in good communication with staff to move forward with the zoning and the official plan. As Carl kind of alluded to, is very much technical details that we're working through at this point.
Has the committee got any questions there? Okay, I'll now ask for any questions or comments again from the committee members. Jay?
I think Wendy beat me there, so go ahead.
Wendy?
Yeah, as we said before, I mean, these are relatively minor changes that are being asked for. It's an adult living apartment complex, so the children's play area isn't really super important. There used to be a driveway off McGill, so it's not unknown for that property to have it. And the community benefits that are being offered, I think, are a fair offset for the minor change in both density and height, because they are relatively minor. The development is obviously in keeping with what the strategic goals are for this council in terms of infill and increased density. So yeah, I don't have any red flags to talk about right now.
Thanks, Wendy. Jay?
Thanks. This is very exciting. I'll say that I was born there when it was a hospital. It's my birthplace. And I echo Councillor Alfred in terms of the play area. I don't see it as a really a family-oriented place, and we do in town have 80 hectares of maintained parkland, and we're going through a study to improve that and expand on it. And I'm really happy that the proponent went above and beyond prior to this process starting to contact the neighborhood and introduce yourselves. Really helps. And I think that, you know, the last meeting that we had, there was some concern from a neighbor on Chambers. You've addressed that with the trees, and really appreciate that. And so, you know, I can't wait for you guys to get going. When are you going to start?
We're hoping to get started in November.
Perfect.
Anyone else?
I was going to ask as far as the starting time, so I'm glad of that. But in my years here in Smith Falls, I can't remember ever there being a plaque at the South Unit indicating that Jay was born there.
They're in denial.
Wendy's back.
Wendy?
Yeah, and I wanted to elaborate a bit on something Jay said. The outreach that Lapine has shown towards that neighborhood is evidenced tonight by the fact there is no one from the public here at this meeting. So really appreciate that you've gone to the lengths that you did to make sure that all of those things were addressed. And I think that that's paying dividends, that will pay dividends for you, and it pays dividends for us tonight in that we don't have, a large group of people concerned about the development itself. So congratulations, and from our perspective, planning advisories, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Okay, the committee has a task with making a recommendation to council for the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications. If the committee is ready to do so, I will now entertain a motion for applications OP-21-01 and ZA-20-07.
I'll make that motion.
Jay, seconder. Wendy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you for attending and participating in the planning process for the applications OP-21-01 and ZA-20-07. Any participants that have not signed in or required further notice regarding the application are asked to please reach out to the planning coordinator, Mary Remick, by phone at the town hall. Appeal rights as prescribed by the Planning Act will be outlined in the notice of decision. If you have any questions on this application or the process, I invite you to get in touch with our senior planner or planning coordinator. That concludes the public portion of the meeting. Portion of the Planning Advisory Committee. We will now move on to the next item on our agenda. Item 6, we have no priority issues. Item 7, no correspondence issues. Project updates, we have none. Next meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee, July 8th, 2021.
Mr. Chair, I think the planner has an update for us.
Oh, Carl?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a very brief one. On Monday evening, Council gave draft approval to the Bellamy Farm subdivision. So that is a development at the, well, I think you all know where that is, at the southwest end of town, and involves 250 single-family homes, townhouse units, and semi-detached dwellings. There was a significant discussion on parkland, and that was one thing we were able to accommodate within this development. So I know that file's been before the committee a couple of times, and now we were able to work through a number of details at our end and with our review agencies, and that was ready to be presented and approved. We do have a new minor variance application and a site plan application that was actually just received in our office today. We're hoping to get that on the agenda for the 8th. We're working with the applicant on a couple of submission details to get that ready for circulation and for your consideration. So stay tuned on that one.
Wendy?
Carl, just can we back up a little bit to the Bellamy Farms, because I remember the discussion that we had, and we were going to start that. Is that the one where we're going to start the development rather than single family home, or rather than condos, but have a transition of single family dwellings? I think it was Jacqueline that flagged that the first time. Is this the one we were discussing before, that there be a gentler transition and using single family dwellings before just knocking a condo in there?
So there's a couple of different, as part of the phase 1 Bellamy Farms that was given final approval a couple of years ago, there is an apartment complex there's an apartment block that was designated within that. And so we are working through a site plan application for that one. That was part of the original phase that was given final approval on Ferreira. So what we gave draft approval for on Tuesday was there's no apartment buildings proposed as part of this draft, but there were townhouses proposed along one of the new streets, which would back onto, of course, single family homes on Code and Lee, and the committee heard some concerns from the community there about land use compatibility and transition. So one of the conditions of the draft approval is that the townhomes along that would be designed as single story. They also have a larger rear yard setback, in part due to the gas easement there as well. So that would form a transition.
Okay, yes, that's exactly the situation I was thinking about. Yeah, good. Thanks, Carl.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay, next Planning Advisory Committee meeting, July 8th, 2021. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Jay. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.